So good night everybody, this is Conduit, the not so lucky enemy of Superman. Now, good night again. This is Conduit from the Man of Steel line from Kenner that came out in 1995 and was based over the Death of Superman comic book saga. Now, what Kenner tried to do with that toy line was to attract both kids and collectors, and so they managed to put into the line some more notorious villains, just like Lex Luthor, and some lesser known characters, just like Conduit here. Now, who's Conduit? Conduit was a brand new villain at the time. He had been around for about a year, I would say. And his real name is Kenny Braverman, or Ken Braverman, as he's an adult here. And his story is very sad and makes him look very unlucky, very unfortunate. The night he was born, while his parents were driving towards the nursery, a storm came by and caused an accident. And his parents with the car ended up in the fields. And there, in the fields inside the car, Kenny was born. But at the same moment when he was born, a rocket ship came by, actually containing the baby Kal-El. And the kryptonite radiation from the rocket ship poisoned Kenny as a kid. So he grew up to be a very ill kid, and he had to fight with that illness all of his youth. Eventually he came out well, and he even became a pretty good athlete, even though he was always second to Clark Kent. And that made him very jealous. And his story goes on like this. He's very sad and always angrier and growing more jealous of Clark Kent. So that he becomes basically a supervillain, learning how to use those kryptonite radiation his body absorbed and to use it to fight Superman. Now, a little bit of trivia is that Ken Braverman can be seen in the Man of Steel movie that came out a couple of years ago, a movie that I hate, but anyway, it was a nice touch. You can see him bullying the young Clark Kent in Smallville. Now, his story goes on and he becomes some kind of a soldier for CIA and then a supervillain. By the time he was a supervillain, he learned to use his kryptonite radiation to blast it towards Superman as a powerful weapon, to channel that radiation through his body to gain some kind of super strength, and he also used this kind of armor you can see here, sculpted in nice detail, I would say. Maybe you don't make it because of the bright yellow color, but every single wire and cable has been sculpted over this figure's body, which is nice. And that suit gives him some protection, obviously, the power to fly, which is useful against Superman, and he also gains some tendrils that he can extend from the suit to fight and entangle his enemies. Now, the action figure is a pretty basic Kenner action figure with 5 points of articulation, one at the neck, then shoulders and hips. And you get a 6th point of articulation, a swivel wrist here, but that's because of his action feature. Now, I've said that he has tendrils that can extend from his body. These tendrils come in the form of accessories in the Kenner version. You get 2 sets, one which is made of shorter tentacles, okay, and a longer set here which is nicer and has tiny hooks at the end so that you can clip the tendrils to each other and ensnare or entangle your enemy, which is pretty cool. It's a nice little feature. Those tendrils do clip onto the figure's wrists, and they both work with the action feature, but since the longer tendrils are heavier, they cause stress over the internal gears of the figure, so I wouldn't use them because I'm afraid to break the mechanism. Now, you clip the tendrils over the figure's wrists, like so. Then, when Superman stops by, here,
Conduit gets so angry that he starts using the tendrils. Now, to use them, you have this wheel on the figure's back. Oh, focus. There. You can move this wheel to move the tendrils. Focus on the figures now. Like so. Focus on this figure maybe. Okay. You move the tendrils widely around and knock Superman unconscious. Pretty cool feature. And the cool part of the action feature is that it doesn't hinder the figure's articulation. You can still move the shoulder however you want, which is nice. Which is really nice. Now, that's about it. The review could end, but it would be the final insult to Kenny Braverman not to show you his real face. So let's bring him closer, like so. Focus on him, like so. And try to remove his faceplate, because that's the last feature of the figure. He's got the mask that you can remove to show a very, very angry face. There you have him. This is Kenny Braverman. So that's it. This is all I have to say about this character and this action figure. If you want to see more of those, subscribe to this channel. We have a lot more to come. If you have any requests, leave them in the comment section and the reviews will come. And if you like this review, hit the like button. And good night.